That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all a theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see.
Here we are. It is, what is the date today? Tuesday, September the 27th, 2022, 3:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And the final Halloween trailer has dropped. Halloween ends. We are, like 2 weeks away? Not that long now. Just a little over 2 weeks away. Not that long now. Did you watch the final trailer? Did you like the final trailer? What do you think about it? If you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know. We're going to go through the trailer. We're going to go through it, look at it, see what we think. I'll give you my kind of first impression thoughts of what I thought of the Halloween Ends trailer. The last one, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. It ends. Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers. Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode. The final conclusion is nearly upon us on Friday, October the 14th, 2022. 44 years in the making, ladies and gentlemen. How do you feel? Are you excited? Are you trepidatious? Are you concerned? Are you worried? Is there anything that, that's got the heebie-jeebies going on in the back of your neck, like these goosebumps? You watch the trailer, think, this is it, this is it. This is Rocky versus Drago. This is Godzilla versus King Kong. This is Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. Evil dies tonight. Halloween Ends releases Friday, October the 14th, 2022. Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Batichuk, James Jude Courtney. Directed by David Gordon Green. Released by Blumhouse and Universal Pictures. Well, here we are. I watched the trailer today. I got word that a trailer was coming at the end of the month, although I didn't know a date. So I didn't feel confident in saying anything, but I have known that it was likely on its way. However, even I was starting to get skeptical because of all the TV spots and all the bombs that were being dropped. I was starting to think, there's really no need to. I mean, it's kind of there it is. But they did, and they released it today. Usually, folks, keep in mind. Usually, generally speaking, marketing material for movies is released on, officially released, okay? I don't mean things don't leak on like a Sunday afternoon at 2, but generally speaking, official releases of marketing material usually comes on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday, right in the middle of the week, especially online via social media, because if you pay attention to the analytics, and if you don't have a YouTube channel, you probably don't, but if you are on social media and you have a YouTube channel, or you're kind of neck deep into sort of the analytics and, the demographics and who's what, where, and how is all that's going on, generally speaking, most people are online on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Fridays, not so much. Now, you'd think, it's Friday, it's the weekend, but people aren't online. I mean, they're online, but they're not online like they are on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you will usually find promotional material dropping on those days. And here we are, Tuesday, right? No surprise. So I watched it, and the first time I watched it, I thought, meh. I thought, I think I'm feeling sort of the, and I had mentioned this to Frank and Darren of the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast, who I just saw was live like before me. So don't forget to go over there and check them out. I I don't know. I watched it. I mean, maybe it was because I was in the middle of doing a couple of other things. It's been a busy morning here for me in the studio, but on first watch, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling the fatigue. However, having watched it a few more times, I'm picking out some things. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm excited. Okay. It's cool. But there's definitely that fatigue that is setting in. And again, not to sound like a broken record, but I think it is important that we do understand that although anything is possible, you always want to leave a little crack. This is the final Halloween as we know it. So for everybody that's sort of poking fun at that, in terms of, oh, sure, they had a final chapter, they had a Freddy's Dead, and sure, but I don't think this is like that. When the heavy promotion that's leading into the end, the final battle, no, seriously, this is really it this time. I believe that because what they're trying to do is tell you, no, this version, this iteration, right? This is Jamie Lee Curtis's last one. Like, this is it. Of course, there's going to be other Halloween films in the future, whether it's a reboot or a remake or Season of the Witch or a TV series or a direct sequel to Halloween 4 or who knows, right? But this story, Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, it's done. This is it. So I do believe that part of it. So let's keep that in mind. They're not, ends, this is it, the final battle, it's over. They're not trying to say there's never going to be another Halloween movie ever again in the history of time. They're saying that, hey, this story, Laurie Strode, 1978, yeah, this is it, folks. This is it. So, and I believe them. So it's, it is sort of a monumental moment here. This is truly it. I mean, it's like Harrison Ford's last go around as Han Solo. The last time we saw or as Indiana Jones next year. Will they make other Indiana Jones movies in the future? Probably. I mean, you never know, but probably. I know Ford is like, no, when I'm dead, it's dead. I get that, but when he's dead, there's nobody there to complain anymore. So this will be his last Indiana Jones. All these people are getting up there, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Curtis looks great, but she's in her 60s now. People are getting up there. At some point, it will be the last one for these people. So I think this is true. This is true. So watching the trailer from that perspective, through that lens, it's a big moment, and when I think back to sort of when I jumped online and doing the channel in this way and talking Halloween, I mean, this is it. I mean, we are moving. I don't mean it's it for the channel. I just mean that journey that we began in 2018, or really at the end of 2000 or in the summer of 2017, is coming to a close. So it's a monumental moment and it's really exciting. It's interesting. But there was nothing in the trailer that I saw that got me more excited. But thankfully, there wasn't anything in the trailer that I saw that got me less excited. And I think primarily it's because we know what this is about now, right? I mean, I sort of made the announcement, albeit unofficially, but, I said like 2 weeks ago, I think we can stop pretending what we know this is going to be, because all the evidence, right? Everything, all the rumors out there about Corey and the ring on the finger and the hand with the two extra fingers and the this and that, and he's a copycat, but all those were rumors at one point when there wasn't even a teaser trailer yet. That was shit going back to like June and July. And then the teaser hit and the test screenings hit, and it's like, and everything since then, every promotional material, every clip, of course, they've, or I guess 3 clips leaked from some press junket. It's all pointing in that direction. So I think we can stop pretending maybe, no. It is. Maybe it's not Corey. No, it is. It is. So I know. How do you feel about that? I don't know. I think we should wait. To watch the movie. At face value, you might go, what the fuck? And hey, I'm right there with you. It's not a creative choice I would have instinctually gone with. It's not a direction that I would have done myself. But we'll see. Something that I do like that I'm seeing, and I've mentioned this in the past as well, is that it looks smaller, more claustrophobic. I love the way Myers looks in the trailer, right? He looks really cool. We'll look at that as well. There's a lot of those things that it's more Myers, less Jason Voorhees, right? So I like that. And we know that David Gordon Green was going to do that. That's what he wanted to do. This is more of a coming of age story. This is more of a character-driven film rather than a plot-driven film. So, we're going to focus on those characters and the residual effects that they've been feeling and the dynamics between the two, or between the characters and how that affects the larger picture. Yeah, it's probably going to be like a drama/horror. Do you know what I mean? Or at least there'll be a lot of drama elements to it. I'm okay with that. Smaller, more kind of in the shadows and darkness. Hey, all right, we'll see. Will we agree with the story? I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. But let's jump over to the other screen and let's walk through this together. Now, I am not going to play this because last time I was dinged. So I'm just going to kind of go through this with you guys. Kind of not frame by frame, but kind of shot by shot a little bit here. So obviously, not a big deal. We open on a pumpkin. Okay. Now, this is a cool shot. I actually really do like this shot. And I think there's even a shot. Is there a shot before that or is it after? It's just a shot leading up to it. And then, of course, we get to Corey looking down, looking into the sewer, into the underground. It's a cool shot. I like it. It kind of has that It kind of vibe, that Stephen King kind of vibe to it. But it's cool. It's definitely cool. And then after that, we cut to, where are we here? Corey sort of, so he's kind of, yeah, like it kind of does look like he's in the sewers or some sort of sewer system, some sort of underground sewer system of some sort. Not exactly 100% sure what, but he's definitely down there. What leads him down there? I don't know. Does he go searching? Did he get, into some fight with Allison and he's just gone for a walk to cool off and then he hears like some fucking weird thing? I don't know. Maybe he sees a vision of Michael in a clown costume run in there. Wouldn't that be fucking creepy? That's too it. That's too it. No, but what brings him there? I don't know. Maybe he's just full on looking for Michael Myers. He just goes there. You know what? Fuck it, I'm just going to look for him. I don't know. But something brings him down there because of the way that he looks, right? He's where are we here? He's sort of looking in like as if he's heard something or seen something, or maybe he's got wind that, maybe rumors have it that this is where maybe Myers is hanging out. I don't know, right? But obviously something leads him down there. And we've seen this in the trailer, of course. We've seen this, and he goes and boom, and gets caught by Michael. And, it's interesting. It's really interesting. Hang on a sec. I find this really interesting. Because, or not interesting. That's not the right word. Sorry, I had 500 things in my head at once. I find this intriguing because this is the moment and the moments that follow this that I think we're going to see, Michael passing his essence, the essence of evil onto Corey. What that is, how they're going to explain that. If they are going to explain that, I have no idea. I don't think it needs explaining. I don't think it's necessary. I've seen some people say that it's the mask. The mask is what makes him evil. I disagree. It's the mask that makes him evil. Okay. I think that the mask is just a mask. It's a mask that he picked up at a hardware store because he needed something to, conceal his face. When he broke into the hardware store, he knew he needed, a knife or a couple of knives, some rope, and a Halloween mask, right? What Sheriff Brackett says. And so he goes in there, he breaks in, and he just sees him. Maybe there was a few other masks there that he could have picked up too. A clown mask, I don't know. A Richard Nixon mask, who knows? I have no idea. But he just saw that one and it spoke to him clearly. And so he takes it, and that's the one that he has. The Myers mask is not evil in and of itself. The Myers mask is just a symbol of that evil because it's blank, because it's pale, because it's emotionless, right? It's sort of just a symbol. It's not the evil in and of itself, because Myers also murdered his sister, in 1963 with a clown mask on. So it's just a symbol. It's not the mask. Now, that doesn't mean that they could, perhaps not maybe allude to that, but I hope they don't. I hope they don't, because then what does that mean? Like, where does that leave us? Then that just kind of asks me, or sort of makes me ask, well, what was the hardware store in on it? Did they know they were selling these types of masks? Did they, like, it just adds it opens up a whole can of worms that I don't think we need. It is just purely a mask. That's it. It's just a mask. But whatever evil, whatever it is, and again, like I mentioned in a tweet late last night, the foundation of Michael Myers is built on ambiguity and mystique, the anonymity, right? This idea that whatever it is, whatever he is, whatever is driving him, whatever that evil is not knowable. That is why it works. That's why it works. The second you know that, you remove the mystique and the mystery, and the character just becomes like everybody else. And so whatever evil is inside him, clearly they allude to here through the use of editing. They are alluding to here. They are trying to communicate to the audience that Corey does in fact look into Michael's eyes. And there is some sort of whatever happens. But I don't think that needs to be explained. Just as when, Jamie in Halloween 4 touches Michael's hand, it's clearly communicated that maybe that was the moment that there was this transfer of, I don't know. Now, whether you like that, that's a different ballgame. That's a different discussion. We can have a discussion about whether those creative choices are the right thing to do. But clearly, I think this is what is happening here. Because then we have a shot of Michael as well. And he looks great. This is a great shot. This is a great shot. Got to give credit where credit is due. This is a great shot. It almost looks like there's cobwebs in front of his face as well, which looks really cool. And I'm digging that. It looks really cool. And then, of course, we cut back. Oh, did I miss one here? I think I did. Let me just do this. Yeah, we cut back to Corey. See, he's looking into his eyes. Look into my eyes, bitch. Look into my eyes. And then, of course, we cut to a closer shot of Myers as Corey is looking deep into his eyes, and Myers just tilts his head. You see his head tilting there? There we go. Look at this. I'm getting all sweaty, nerdy, all hardcore sweat Halloween nerd.
Look, he's tilting his head. Do you see that he's tilting his head? Excuse me while I brush the sweat off my brow.
But he does. He tilts his head a little bit. You can sort of see, it's either this shot or another shot. You can sort of see the catch lights in his eyes. I would prefer not that. Again, maybe it's not this shot here. I'd have to bring it up on a bigger screen. It could be one of the TV spots, but there's a moment, there's something that they released where you see the catch lights in his eyes. Not a fan of that. Again, it might be a nitpick, but that's something that I would not have done. I would have just black, dark, nothing there, right? Because clearly, if you focus on the face and you focus on just sort of these, and the closer you get, see, that would be even creepier. The closer you get to the mask, it doesn't matter. Like they just look like black voids. Like why am I not seeing any eyes here? Like that would have been really cool, right? But nonetheless, it doesn't ruin anything. It's just a creative choice that I would not have made. And then, of course, he takes out the knife. He takes out the knife. Let me go on here. Takes out the knife. We know that. Trying to go along here. Anyways, I don't want to. Yeah, so he takes out a knife, So he's got a knife down there where, he's hidden it. And we've seen this in the trailer before. And if you look very closely, if you look right here, of course, Corey's got that pinky ring on his pinky finger. So obviously something happens. There's a confrontation between Corey and Michael. We know this. And during this conversation, some sort of evil is transferred to Corey. And yeah. And of course, Blumhouse, Universal. We've seen this shot before. I'm just going to skim through this a little bit. We've seen this shot before. It's cool. Is it Corey? Is it Michael standing there? I don't know. I have no idea, but we'll find out. And Laurie looks and he's gone. And she's like, what the fuck? What's going on here? We've seen this. We've seen that in a clip. Again, I mean, the film looks smaller, right? It doesn't look as intense and as bombastic as Halloween Kills. It just looks like a more claustrophobic, atmospheric, moodier film. Now, again, a lot of the stuff we're seeing, I've mentioned this before too, a lot of the stuff we're seeing, not everything, but a big percentage of like maybe even 80%, maybe even a bit higher, I don't know. But a big percentage of all the shit we're seeing in the marketing, the BTS B-roll excluded, because if you watch the 6 or 7 or 5 or 6 minute BTS B-roll, then you actually do see a lot of other stuff that you don't see in the official marketing material. Same with the clips as well. But if you look at the official marketing material, which is the TV spots, the teaser trailer, this trailer, a lot of the stuff we're seeing, again, not everything, but a lot of the stuff we're seeing feels like third act stuff. It feels like stuff that is building to that climactic moment, that epic fight, which leads me, I'm a little trepidatious with that because it makes me wonder, well, if the last 20 minutes of the movie are like this, but the rest of the movie isn't, interesting. How's that going to be? Like, are we having a real slow burn where things are sort of, it's more of a, which again, could be really great. It could be great, but is, 80% of this movie character drama with some interesting little kind of horror bits here or there. And then the last 20 minutes or so, or the last 20%, that's when you get into a killing spree with Corey. Michael comes back, shit hits the fan. I don't know, but it's just something I've noticed that we do see a lot of what I am perceiving as third act stuff. Again, not everything, like this here doesn't strike me as third act stuff, but we saw that clip, of course, where we know that he's talking to Laurie here, if you've seen the clip. And we know that, he is taking a stance that clearly he's, Corey is on the spiral downturn here. And he's taken a stance of, if I can't have Allison, nobody can. When I heard him say that in the clip, look, it's a line that works. It clearly communicates where the character is and where the character is mentally. But it's kind of a cliche line. If I can't have her, nobody can. If I can't have him, nobody. It's a little overused. And I probably would have found a different, again, I'm nitpicking here, okay? I'm really nitpicking, I am, okay? But I'm just giving you my first thoughts. I probably would have figured out a different way to say that. Just because it is sort of classical, and it's kind of like, if I can't have her, you can fill in the blank, right? I mean, as soon as he said, if I can't have her, I'm like, nobody can. And he goes, nobody can. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of feels to me that maybe we should have kind of, I don't know, just found a different way of saying it. But again, that's nitpicky shit, not a big deal. But we do know that he is spiraling out of control here, and he has quite the confrontation with Laurie. And clearly, I think they're going to butt heads. Maybe not at first, because he says in a clip, he says, you welcomed me in. Now, maybe his perception of welcoming is very different than what Laurie actually did. Who knows? But maybe she did. Maybe she thought he was a nice guy at first, because it was before the downturn. It was before the spiral. It was before his confrontation with Michael Myers, right? It was before his confrontation with Michael Myers. So perhaps when Allison first meets first meets Corey, and again, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think what brings them together could very well, I mean, obviously, yeah, they're probably both attracted to each other physically, but I think there's probably a commonality there between the trauma, right? We know what Allison has been through. We know the traumatic events that she's been through. And we know that Corey, we know this isn't a spoiler, it's in the synopsis. Corey's accused of, I don't know about murdering, but at least being responsible for the death of the kid that he's babysitting at the very beginning of the movie. So that sort of commonality, that shit that they've been through, probably brings them together in some sort of way. And maybe when she first meets Corey, Laurie actually thinks he's a really nice guy. And maybe he actually didn't do it. I don't know. Maybe he's not responsible. Who knows? I have no idea. But then, of course, that would be before the confrontation with Michael. So again, I'm purely speculating here. I haven't seen the movie, but I'm just thinking about it from a writing perspective on sort of how you would, I mean, there's only so many ways that you can go with this, right? So interesting nonetheless. And then, okay, what do we have here? We have, is this the DJ? Yeah, this is the DJ who gets his ass handed to him. Now, I know a lot of you would like to think that this is, Michael Myers. Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that you actually see, quote unquote, Michael walking on the other side of the window there. I didn't even notice that. That's funny. Now I'm going to put Michael in air quotes. And the reason why I'm going to put Michael in air quotes is because, I know we've seen that shot before too, but is because in one of the TV spots, again, sweaty nerd shit, real sweaty shit. You actually see when he takes the DJ's head and slams his head against the table. I didn't do this on purpose, but as I was going through one of the TV spots, I happened to pause it and land on a moment where you can actually see his hand on the back of the DJ's head, and he's got the pinky ring on. So I am going to go out on a limb. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to say 100%, but I'm going to say that the Michael, quote unquote, that kills the DJ is actually Corey. And this is part of Corey's murder spree. And maybe this is one of the guys that fucking bullied Corey, didn't believe him. Maybe he's a former best friend or something that disowned him. You know, it's like, dude, listen, we were best buds, but you're a fucking dude. Fuck this. I'm out. And now that Corey is sort of, now he's really deep into the evil, right? He's not even who he used to be. He fucking goes up to this guy and murders him. So again, I don't know for sure, but I don't know for sure. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But I'm going to say that, where are we here? Sorry, guys. I'm going to say that this is probably Michael that kills him. And then here we have, Corey that kills him, not Michael. Here we have, I believe that's the woman that holds up the pillow maybe, or whatever. I think this is Corey again. I don't think this is Michael at all. This is, see if I can get that. Yeah, interesting stuff. About to have a shower, obviously. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool shots. I will say, again, I'm digging the cinematography. I'm digging the way they've crafted their lighting, the way they've crafted the shots. Awesome shit. Like, this is, I mean, again, if I want to get really nitpicky, I guess there's certain things I might, but again, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm purely judging this on the trailer and the marketing material. I've got to watch the movie. I got to see it play out in context. I got to see how Michael moves through the space, right? How the shots are crafted within their context. But based on the marketing material, yeah, I think it's solid. I do like a lot of the way that the shape is presented, which is really good. And then this is great. This is something we haven't seen before. This is really cool. I know that I think it was Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb wasn't crazy on having the light above the victim there, but I and maybe he's changed his mind since, I don't know, but I actually don't mind it because Michael, quote unquote Michael, I actually don't think this is Michael either. It could be. Actually, this might be because I don't think this is the same woman who holds up the pillow. I don't think this is the same sequence, and I don't think this is the same scene. So this could very well be Michael Myers. But what I do dig about it is that Michael is in relative shadow. Relative shadow. Yeah. And the focus, it's like having a vignette on a photograph, right? Where our eye is drawn to the woman, impaled to the board with the light there. I mean, that's really where our eye, is drawn to. And then you kind of look to the right and you're like, oh shit, and Michael's there too, right? So I think that's what I like about it, is that it's the lighting is crafted in a way where it feels like it's got sort of a vignette. And it actually might. Because you can do that kind of stuff in post-production. And if you're subtle with it and you're just, helping to accent the shot, it's not noticeable. It doesn't, you would not watch and go, well, this looks like it's got a vignette on it. You would never notice it. But they do that in post if they want to sort of help accent and sort of just spruce up an image a little bit and draw your eye into the focus of where they want it. So I actually quite like that image a lot. This Halloween, and then Laurie's lighting candles. A lot of people have also said, I don't understand, and I need to say this again, I don't understand how Laurie could, how she couldn't move on for 40 years, but now she is like that. It actually perplexes me why some people miss sort of this very important detail. We have to remember that Laurie, I don't think Laurie has fully moved on. I think she is in the process of doing that. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but again, the reason why she was able to make that decision is because of what was the motivation of it. The motivation changed. So Laurie's motivation for 40 years was because she needed to protect her family, to protect whoever she needed to protect at all costs, because she was convinced that it was personal, that Michael was waiting and, he was going to come after her, and he escaped to come after her. She lived with that. It ruined friendships. It ruined relationships. She couldn't hold a job because of it. She fully believed that. Then her identity was ripped out from under her. It became her identity, right? You've heard me say this 1,000 times. It became her identity. Then she finds out in Halloween Kills, it was never about her. What that does from a psychological level is catastrophically devastating. When she realizes, oh my God, I'm in my 60s now and I've wasted my entire fucking life for no fucking reason. As Robert De Niro says in Copland, you blew it! She blew it. And so what that does to her is, it's not like she just goes, oh, okay, da-da-da, I'm happy now, woo, da-dee-da-dee-da-dee. No, it's far more nuanced than that. It's just that for the first time in her life, it has allowed her to seek the help that she needs and to try and redeem, what life she has left with her granddaughter and all that kind of stuff. That's what it is. But is she perfectly fine here and yip zippity doo da zippity day? No, of course not. Of course not. We're still going to see the residual effects of what she's been through. We're still going to see the residual effects of everything that's happened. It's sort of an ongoing process. It's like an alcoholic or a drug addict or, whatever the case is, right? Just because you're 4 years sober doesn't mean that you're still not going to treatment or that you're still not going through the processes of recovery. This is going to be an ongoing thing for her, but she's clearly at a place in her life where she's able to sort of try and change the identity of Halloween back to what it was before the events of 1978. Because obviously before 1978, she probably loved Halloween like everybody did. Dressed up, went trick-or-treating, babysat, hung out with her friends, and then boom, October 31st, 1978 changed her life forever. And this is part of her maybe coping and thinking, I used to really like Halloween. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying there is, but it wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't a line in Halloween Ends where she is like, I used to like Halloween. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying there is, but it would make sense because then maybe she's like, I'm going to try and this is really hard, but maybe it'll help because she's trying to change the identity of what Halloween means to her in her own mind. And that's how she's able to do this. I would assume, again, I haven't seen the movie, but this is how, or what I assume is why she's carved a pumpkin, why she's got decorations up, why we see her, carving a pumpkin, because she's trying to change that identity. I'm assuming that's what that means. We've seen this, cool stuff. Again, oh, and by the way, the score in this trailer is fantastic. An excellent score. Excellent. I don't know if this will be actually in the film, but it sounds like there's like an orchestra, which again, I doubt there is. It probably just is, was synthetically created to sound that way, but it's got this orchestral, like it's really good. It's thundering. It's got a oomph to it, which I quite liked with the theme and everything, which is really cool. Okay, we've seen that before. There's Saga, blah, blah, blah. This is more of Corey. I assume this is more of Corey. Is that Corey? You know what? You know what's interesting? I don't know who that is. Is that Corey? Or maybe it's a stunt guy. It actually could be a stunt guy. And because we've slowed it down, we're like, oh, we can actually kind of tell it's not him. Even though in the film, it is actually supposed to be him. But maybe not. It doesn't really look like Corey. And here, it almost looks like you have two Michael Myerses. If you look here, this dark spot here almost looks like there's a popped collar here, right? This looks like a popped collar on this individual wearing what looks like a Michael Myers mask. It sort of looks like that. And then you have somebody here in an outfit wearing a Myers mask. I don't know. I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, but it's something that I've noticed, which is interesting. But that's what happens when you slow shit down, folks. That's what happens, we sweaty nerds.
If you look at the left nostril, the hair is fluttering in the wind. And I think that means that Hawkins will be having a burger and fries at the 48-minute and 37-second mark.
Oh, man, we're crazy. But interesting. Oh, wait, I got to go back here because I want to fucking see this. Here is one of the most useless characters in all of Halloween. I am really hoping that Barker gets some sort of redemption here. I can't believe he's still the sheriff after all the shit that went down, all the incompetent sort of decisions that clearly he led. I don't know. It's a character that I still don't like. But I like the actor. Because I've seen him in a few other things and he's a good actor. But the character of Barker is just a useless stooge. He's a loser. So anyways, I'm just, I'm really hoping that he's got some sort of redemption arc, some sort of thing that happens for Barker. Maybe Barker saves it. Like if he just shows up at the very end and going, well, fuck, I guess they were right. Then I'm just going to be like, get out of here. You got your paycheck, now leave. Poor Omar. We love you, Omar. Okay, we've seen that. A blowtorch, right? This is a blowtorch of some sort. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe somebody's trying to, I see a wheel there, right? So you see like a wheel here. Somebody's trying to fix something. Maybe there's like maybe this is where Corey gets his mechanic's outfit. Maybe this is where Corey gets the jumpsuit, folks, the coveralls. Maybe this is it. There's some like, mechanically inclined mechanic, car enthusiast. He's got a blowtorch out and he's welding some metal pieces together in some shop. And Corey's like, hey. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, he starts beating him down and he takes his outfit. I have no idea. Maybe this is Corey. Maybe he works there. I have no idea. Who's that? Don't you love when you... Who's that? Is that Lori's face? It looks like a very young face. Doesn't that? This is fun. I love slowing this down. Who is that? It looks like a very young face. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Comment below and let me know after the fact if you're watching. 609 Halloween fans are tuning in live. Folks, amazing. You guys are awesome. Hit that thumbs up button, folks. It's free and it helps the channel and the video. Let's see if we can get to listen, all 600 of you are not going to hit the thumbs up button because some of you don't like to be told what to do, but hopefully we can get maybe 200, maybe 250 or 300 thumbs up. That would be awesome. Amazing. You guys are awesome. This looks like a young face. Yeah. Winter Rose 444 says maybe that's the kid that dies. Maybe. Yeah, could be. Anyways, let me just go back here because I want to, that's somebody under there. Okay. Yeah. This is, okay. You see right here, look right here. It's probably too dark to tell. I'd have to brighten it up. Okay. But I'm fairly certain there's a pinky ring on that pinky finger. I'm fairly certain. There it is. You can see the catch light in it. See that right there? You see the catch light? Yeah, that's right. I'm going hard into the paint. I'm going sweaty. Let's get sweaty, folks. Let's get sweaty. So that leads me to believe that this is likely Corey. So yeah, I'm going to assume that the DJ was a former friend of some kind. Not sure. But yeah, we're getting sweaty here, folks. We're getting sweaty. All right. Ooh, man, he's slamming his head. Jesus. Look at this. Look. Enough, Michael, enough. Michael, stop it. Okay, enough. His face looks like, yeah, he either looks inebriated. Listen, as I posted on Twitter, if you think you're having a bad day, it could be worse, folks. It could be worse. Okay, let's keep going. We've seen this. I think that's Allison. She shuts the door or something, sees him in the mirror. There she is. No. Maybe that's Corey. Maybe Corey has come for her. Corey has come for her. I don't know. You date the wrong woman, bitch. Shout out to Andy Matichek. I didn't mean that. I'm just being theatrical. Because there's somebody out there going, now this actually looks like somebody that is under, I don't know who that is. Maybe that's Corey's friend. No idea. But there's clearly somebody in distress under there. And then this obviously is probably Corey again, because the hand looks quite young and quite youthful and full of life. We've seen that before. Now this, I also believe, is Corey, because if you look carefully, again, he's got all his fingers. So maybe this is the first time Corey puts on the outfit. Maybe he's about to put on the mask. Maybe he's about to put on the mask. I don't know. But yep, I would say that's probably him. Again, here's that young, youthful face. It's kind of creepy. Actually, the more I look at it, that's really creepy. That's actually really, really creepy. And then, of course, we have Allison screaming. All right, let's go on here. What I've seen these before. Lori with the knife, yeah. And then she's like, you came to kill me. Do it. That kind of stuff. And Michael looks like he's convulsing here. I don't know what this is, but it looks like he's having some sort of seizure. He's in some kind of distress. I don't know. Like, it really kind of looks that way. This, I believe, is Michael Myers, because you can see sort of the mold on the jumpsuit, and where the light sort of catches the highlights in the mold and all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely say this is probably Myers. She's about to take off his mask. Oh, here it is, here it is, here it is, this is it. Oh, whose face is that? Probably James Jude Courtney. And then it just says Halloween and then we go to this epic battle and blah, blah, blah. October 14th in theaters and on Peacock. Ladies and Germs in theaters, October 14th and on Peacock. So like I said at the top of the show today, I liked it. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was a bit, okay, you know, again, for whatever reason, I'm feeling the fatigue. But watching it back, and right the way through, not stopping it, not doing any of that kind of stuff, just watching it, taking it at face value for what is. It's a good trailer. It's well cut together. They've done a really good job at, you know, for the average horror fan, because this is the thing too, you got to remember, folks, these trailers are cut for the average movie fan. Okay, they're not thinking about hardcore fans like us that are going to dial in and go,
his nose hair is 30 degrees to the right.
they're not thinking about. They are trying to mass appeal, right? And this trailer does that. For us, we know about Corey. We know, well, you know, but to the average horror fan, not even movie fan, horror fan that might not even be, you know, neck deep, sweaty into Michael like we are, they're going to watch this trailer and go, they're going to literally think every shot of Michael Myers is Michael Myers. And it's designed that way. So they've done a really good job at doing that and hiding the fact that Corey will be donning the outfit for, you know, a certain length of time. So it's interesting. But I think it's what I take away from it the most is that it's what David Gordon Green said it was going to be. It feels smaller. It feels more atmospheric. The music sounds really good. I've listened to some of the tracks that were released. Sounds really good. So it looks like we might get some really good, you know, moments with Michael, maybe even quote unquote Michael, coming out of the shadows and the darkness. That's one of my worries though, is when it's Corey. You see, we as fans, how are they going to, it kind of makes me wonder. Sorry, I got so many thoughts in my head here. I would assume from a purely canonical and connective tissue and writing standpoint that when Corey is Michael and doing his thing, he's not going to be doing the Michael stuff, you know, lurking, emerging from the darkness, sitting up, doing the head turn, unless David Gordon Green and company are trying to say that that's part of that the evil, whatever that is, because it was transferred to Corey. And I'm not saying they're going to do this, folks. I'm just spitballing here, shooting from the hip. Unless they're trying to say that the evil makes you do that. So if the evil gets transferred to you, you too can emerge from the darkness and sit up and turn your head and I mean, that's kind of weird, right? Like we would like to believe that that's why these things can't be explained. That's why it is not knowable. That's why it's not knowable. It shouldn't be. So that's my only worry is, are they going to have Corey doing some of Michael's MO, like some of Michael's mannerisms and presentation? Is Corey going to sit up and do a head turn? Is Corey going to emerge from the darkness? Or is Corey just going to put on the mask and just walk in and just fucking wreck shit? Which would make more sense. I don't mean that he doesn't sneak up on somebody. Obviously, he wants to be a little stealthy. He's going to sneak up, okay. But I'm talking like pure Michael Myers 101. That's what I'm talking about. That has me a little concerned because it makes me worried that there could be a couple real awesome, cool Michael Myers moments that aren't even Michael Myers at all. Do you know what I mean? And then you have to ask yourself, well, how do we feel about that? How do I feel about that? Or is it now a matter of semantics? Well, technically the evil was transferred over to him. And since he's in the coveralls and the mask, is he not then Michael Myers? You know, it's like, oh, let's not get into that shit. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm just saying those are things I think about because I haven't actually seen the movie and see everything sort of play out within context and get sort of that overall kind of vibe of what they're trying to present. Don't know. But it's entirely possible that they differentiate that And so you actually have Michael doing his Michael stuff and Corey just cosplaying as Michael, wrecking shit up. I don't know. Another thing too is we know because of the leaks and the spoilers, but when the film is presented, do we as an audience, like, let's say we didn't know about them. We had no idea about the spoilers whatsoever. Are they presenting the narrative in a way that lets the audience know it's Corey? Or are they presenting it in a way where the audience doesn't know it's Corey? I mean, we're going to know, but I just mean generally, right? You watch the movie and if you didn't know, you would think it was Michael the whole time. Is that how they're presenting it? Because then if that's the case, you would think that they would have to do some sort of Michael kind of isms, or we would know something was up. But maybe the average moviegoer wouldn't. It's a whole kind of thing. I'm really interested to see how they execute this. But the trailer does a good job of hiding that to the average movie fan, to the average horror fan even. Do you know what I mean? Because I guarantee you there are horror fans out there right now that are not hardcore, sweaty,
The nostril hairs are
that are not like that at all, that have watched this trailer today and think everything is Michael Myers. I guarantee you there are lots of horror fans that maybe have seen the Halloween films. They like them, but they're not like neck deep into it like us, that have watched the trailer and been like, oh, this looks cool. Can't wait to see all those Michael Myers moments, and have no fucking idea about the Corey thing. 100%. So they've done a really good job of masking that. But again, a lot of the trailer, not all of it, but a lot of it does look like third act stuff. Which makes me believe that there's probably a lot of shit they can't show you in the first and second act because it would give away of what they're doing. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I thought the trailer was good. And I've liked it the more I've watched it. Again, the first time I was like, but I've watched it, I'm like, yeah, it's good. So let's jump over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying. Let me go over to I got to go over to the super chats. There was a bunch of them that came in and I don't want to miss them. So let me just go to YouTube Studio here and let me go over to, they come in because they disappear from the chat room the longer they're there. All right. Jordan Ellis sends in $9.99 and says, hey, Dave, hope this Tuesday is treating you well. Really great trailer. And I really love the idea of Michael having his own hideout, like a bat cave of sorts. Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of out there. In case you didn't know, I don't think there is going to be an explanation for where he's been or how he's been surviving or how he's been eating or what. I mean, maybe you'll see a couple of dead rats or dogs. I don't know, a dead coyote, who knows? But as far as I know, they're not going to acknowledge that. It just is. We'll see how we feel, we'll see how we feel with that when it's presented against the rest of the film. But it's interesting. Mikey Film sends in $1, just supporting the channel. Thank you, Mikey. Appreciate that. Johnny Coffee sends in $1.99, says, how does Corey know Michael's mannerism? That's all. Well, we were just talking about that, right? We don't know. We have no idea. We don't know if, we don't know. We don't know how they're going to present Corey. I'm not sure. But I hope they don't have the character of Corey acting like Michael for no other reason, just to not tip off the audience. I hope that's not how they're going to present it. But who knows, folks? This is going to be a very interesting film. But I do like the music, in the trailer at least, and I like how it feels more atmospheric and claustrophobic and small scale. I like that. I definitely like that. Is it Jason Stillwell? It's JSSON. Sends in $5. Thanks, buddy. Says, what if Lori not only dies, but she kills Michael, and in the future they can start anew with the Shape being a descendant of Michael? A little out there for me. I don't think I would do that. I think that's a little out there. I think that's a little jumping the shark for me, but some people in the chat might think that's a good idea. Javed Benkosme, whatever it is, whatever your last name is, buddy, my apologies. Send just call you Javid again. Or Javid maybe. Sends in $2, says, Michael in the sewer reminds me of Halloween 5. Halloween 5. Maybe. I don't get Halloween 5 vibes, but I can see what you're saying. You follow up with another one, $2. Thanks, buddy. Says, good intro, Dave McRae. Hyped. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. Well, a lot of people are. Hyped out there, I'm telling you. Matthew Farisi sends in $9.99. Says, it's a Halloween tradition for the last movie to fail. One thing you couldn't say about this timeline is that they were emasculating the shape. I fear we won't be able to say that anymore. Yeah, they definitely haven't done that. There's been hints where they've been on the verge of doing that, like in the flashback scene when Michael is hit over the head, he falls to his knees and then falls on the ground, and then his mask is, removed. And I mean, again, this might be seen as a nitpick for some. It's not something I would do. I certainly wouldn't do that. It's too, I've gone over it. I have a whole fucking video on my channel where I talk about it. But by and large, you are correct. They've handled the shape in the last two movies really well. Regardless of what you think of the movies in terms of the story and the structure and maybe the direction, I think we can all agree that James Jude Courtney is one hell of a shape, and he does a terrific job as Michael Myers. It's also, it's also important to state that that they also finally got the mask right. And, for sequels and decades and sequels, they just couldn't get the mask right. They couldn't light it right. They couldn't get it right. And they finally got the mask right. So those two things are firing on all cylinders. That is for sure. Kevin Spears sends in $4.99, says, hey, Dave, how do you predict you will rate Ends in a 1 to 10 in terms of personal enjoyment? I have no idea, man. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I really can't answer that. I don't know. I'm hoping high. Javid sends another $5 and is talking to Matthew and says, this timeline emasculated everybody else. Yeah, maybe. It depends, right? I mean, if you look at the purest definition of the word, I'd say no. But certainly it has handled a lot of the legacy characters, Laurie Strode aside, in Kills. Yeah, I didn't like the way that a lot of the characters were handled. It was too big for its own good. It was too ambitious. I know what they were trying to do, but it was too big, too much going on, and the character development and the focus that should have been placed on the legacy characters were not there. And, unfortunately, it suffered because of it. David Coe sends in $4.99, says, Dave, I've been in a coma since early 2020 and just woke up. Any update on the petition to have Halloween Kills released early? Yeah, that was funny. I got a lot of hate mail for that. There were
some Halloween fans were upset at me. Oh, you're making fun of us. Dare you?
Hey, man, you put yourself out there. That's what happens. You should see the shit I sometimes get. Come on, lighten up. I do think it's dumb. I think the studio is going, it's not going to happen. And it didn't. It was a waste of time. Man, did some people not like when I poked fun at that. Mason James sends in $5 and says, do you think Scott Derrickson would have done a better Halloween sequel? I don't know. It comes down to story, man. It comes down to story and execution. So I think he's a good director. And I think that, obviously he's shown that he's worthy in the horror genre. And, if he was hired, I would have been like, oh, okay, interesting. But that in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean the movie would have been great. I would need to know, well, what's the direction? What's the story? What are we doing? Right? Where are we taking it? But yeah, that would have been a good, I would have been down with that for sure. Akeem Patterson sends in $4.99, says, I think it would be cool if they started the movie off with the original theme from 1978. Dude, I can't agree with you more. And I'm talking about the original theme, no drum beat. For those of you that may not know, I'm sure most of us know by now, but for those of you that may not know, there are, like, the original Halloween, when you watch, it doesn't matter if you watch it on VHS or on AMC Fear Fest or on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K, when you watch the original Halloween from 1978 and you hear the Halloween theme play, it's a black screen, it begins to play, Compass International Pictures pops up on the screen, there is no drum beat. There's no, it's not there. And I love it. It's just, all you hear is tick, 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 dun, 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 dun. And that was the original theme. And then in, I don't know, 79 or 80 or whenever they released the soundtrack, or at some point, I got to brush up on the details, they released it with a drum beat. And I mean, it's fine. It doesn't ruin the theme or anything. And that's how most people have it. When you buy the soundtrack today, that's what it's going to have. But I much prefer it without the drum beat. So that would be my only suggestion, is that I'd be like, yes, let's do that, but let's have no drum beat. So it is 100% the original theme from the original Halloween. That would be cool. Texas Tootin', I love that. Texas Tootin' sends in $10, says, Michael's looking a bit crusty and musty, Dave. Do you think Michael's pulling a lethal weapon and letting Corey do his job until he heals up? Well, I think that's a big part of it. Yes, I do. And I think all the evidence points to that. Again, we won't know until we actually see the movie. But certainly, you know, I think there is a high probability that Michael, if it is true what David Gordon Green has said, and again, this is out there now. David Gordon Green has said that Michael has sort of gone off to die like an animal. Like, that's why he's been injured, he's been shot, he's gone off to die, whatever. I don't think we're going to actually see that play out, but that's in the mind of the director, right? That's sort of, even though that might not be fully communicated to the audience, whoever the writer is and whoever the director is has to know that information, because then they are in control of the information and how they communicate that through, cinematic language to the audience. So that's important. In other words, they're not just making it up as they go along. So David Gordon Green has said, in his mind, that was why we made that creative choice to have him sort of go off and he hasn't been seen and all that kind of stuff. And so therefore, do I think it's possible that, Corey's doing his bidding, albeit maybe unofficially, or, and so, yeah, I do. It might not be fully outright communicated to the audience that way, like it's fully on said, like, there's a line like, they never found his body, like some cop says, he must be doing his bidding for him now. I hope that's not in there, but through the use of cinematic language and through the use of the way they tell the narrative, you as an audience, maybe some people will pick it up, maybe some people won't, but audience members will be able to go, oh, I think I get what's happening here, right? So yeah, I do think there's a high chance that is what's happening. Whether we're going to like it, I don't know. Movie Chat and More, Part 2 sends in £10. It says, I don't think Blumhouse would be so silly to give that to a trailer house without Jason wanting us to know something. Despite my distaste for Jason, he is not an idiot. He wants us to know something. Well, Movie Chat and More, you have to remember that I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because we as Halloween fans, let me just go back to the other screen here and go back up. Get my position there we go. We as Halloween fans tend to believe that that these movies are marketed and executed specifically for Halloween fans. And although there's a part of that, right? Because sometimes fans, for sure, they're cognitive of that. They're aware of that. But at the end of the day, they want to make as much money as possible. And they're not going to make as much money as they possibly can with sort of marketing their films in a vacuum, specifically targeted to a very small, in the big picture, group of people. I know we'd like to think that Halloween fans are, we're just this huge, we are very tiny. Very tiny. Halloween 18 didn't make $254 million at the worldwide box office, becoming the highest grossing slasher in motion picture history because of Halloween fans. It was because of great word of mouth. It was because it was the first Halloween movie that was released in the month of October since 1989's Halloween 5, nearly 30 years, right? Jamie Lee Curtis was back. John Carpenter was back. Nick Castle was back. There were people that didn't even know that Nick Castle wasn't Michael for the whole movie until the end of the movie. It was a great marketing train. It played well, got great word of mouth, great reviews. That's why. There's a lot of things firing on all cylinders. There was a ton, millions of dollars worth of just people that wanted to go see a scary movie at Halloween time that went and saw that movie as well. So you have to keep in mind, I know we'd like to think that they're sitting there in their, ivy towers going, okay, we got to make sure that we do this and we got to make sure that we get... It's not like that. Sometimes it can be with specific situations, making sure a trailer has something or doesn't have something. But generally speaking, I can almost guarantee you that they're not thinking that. They're not thinking that. They just needed to cut around to make sure that it wasn't revealed because it's a huge plot point, right? They're not caring that they are not the trailer houses and the teams that cut these trailers. I guarantee you are not thinking and worrying about fans and sweaty hardcore fans like us going through it. Okay, frame by frame going,
But if you look at his left knuckle,
they're not thinking that. They're trying to tell a story within 90 seconds, and they're putting clips together that best suit that hype up the fans, that are cool, that are awesome. They're not thinking about that. And a lot of these people that cut these trailers are not Halloween fans. A lot of these people that cut trailers are not necessarily fans of the material they're cutting. Now, that doesn't mean that, they obviously have to go through an approval process, of course, but you have to keep that in mind as well. It's not necessarily people like me and you cutting the trailer, where we would be cognitive of that. Well, we can't show that because he has the and the fingers and they're not thinking that. I guarantee you they're not thinking that. So I get what you're saying, but I disagree that they're thinking that deeply about it. Sometimes it is just what it is. But I get what you're saying. All right, let me scroll down here. Geek Muscle Drew sends in $5. Says, "Well, I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope this movie doesn't give me Friday Part 5 vibes, or worse, Jason Goes to Hell vibes." I don't think we're going to get Jason Goes to Hell vibes. That would be crazy. Friday 5, maybe, but the thing with Friday 5 is that it was never tipped off to the audience that it wasn't Jason. Now, maybe you put two and two together as a Friday fan in 1985 when the movie came out, and you're like, well, hang on a sec. It's a mask that's got the blue, markings on it. His build is a bit different. I think this might be, maybe, but nowhere in the narrative does it say this is Roy Burns. This is the ambulance driver getting revenge for the murder of his son. You don't know that. It's only till the epilogue, really towards the end of the movie, where that cop or the doctor or something basically turns to the camera and is like, in case you didn't know, that was his son. And, all this kind of stuff, right? So I have a feeling, although I don't know, we're going to know it's Corey. We're going to know that it's Corey doing this, and therefore maybe we're not disappointed. I don't know, but I get what you're saying. Stuart J sends in £1 and 79 pence and says, Michael orders pizza every night to the cave. Maybe he does. 967-1111. Call pizza. Hey. Maybe he does. Am I going to get, is it Zave? Xave, Zave Gutowski? Am I saying that correct? If I'm butchering your name, my apologies. Sends in $9.99. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Says, hey, Dave, how's it going? Not bad. Quick question. Are you more excited for Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, or Halloween Ends? Are you? For me, it was Halloween 18. Oh, I see. Was I more excited for Halloween 18 and Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends? I get what you're saying. It's 18. It's 18. Hands down. The lead up to 18 was so exciting. You know, it was the year that I went to the 40th anniversary convention in Pasadena. It was the year that I was able to see it early at TIFF in Toronto. I saw it 6 weeks before basically everybody else. And I didn't say a word. There were people that were upset about that, by the way. Okay. But I didn't say a word because I wanted you guys to experience it yourself. It's definitely 18. I mean, Nick Castle was back. Now, I did videos on this, basically explaining, okay, Nick Castle's going to have a cameo. He's not actually the full thing, but he was back. That was cool. There was that Instagram, or was it Instagram or Twitter video he did where he was jogging on his treadmill with a Tots Halloween 2 mask, I think. Do you remember that? That was so funny. That was so fun. Carpenter was back. He was doing the music. What? He's doing the music. Jamie Lee Curtis was back. There was a lot of hype around that. So I would say, for me, Halloween 18. Kills, because I was lukewarm on 18, I was looking forward to Kills, but I really had to suppress my expectations and just watch it like an amusement park ride. Like I was going to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal or something. Like I just had to pretend I was on a ride or walking through a fun house, because we knew that this was going to be like a Jason Voorhees kind of Michael. And although the practical effects are cool and the bigger scale and the firefighters and the visual effect, it was all really cool. Like it was just the visual of it. It was amazing. But the story I didn't like, and all that kind of stuff, and the structure and the characters. And so there's a lot I didn't like. And, but leading up to it, I was like, I knew it could be like this. So my expectations were sort of not where they were with 18. With Ends, my expectations are a little more back to where they were with 18, but not fully, because of the direction for which they've taken. They've gone back to 18 a little bit because it is clear that this movie is probably going to be more like 18 in terms of its execution, its style, how it's rolled out, more claustrophobic, more mood, more atmosphere. But the story is, we don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel. So that's kind of how I see it, man. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Regan9 sends in $10. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Hey, Dave, if you look closely when Laurie is removing Michael's mask in the kitchen scene during the trailer, his hands are stabbed, pinned into the table. That's why he's squirming, I would guess. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm sure that people will make that comment below. I didn't see that, but you know what? We sweaty nerds, right?
Hang on, if you slow it down, you can see his hands are pinned to the.
We're so crazy. We're crazy. That's cool. I didn't know that. Well, that would make sense then, why he's trying to struggle. And then, of course, he sits up, probably tearing his hands from his wrists or something. That'd be cool. Aaron Ponder sends in $1.99. Thanks, Aaron. Says, movie in Haddonfield? If not, how Myers get there? I see. Is the movie in Haddonfield? If not, how did Myers get there? Well, I don't think there's anything in the mythology. Again, take away the sequels that are not canon. There's nothing, because only the first movie is canon. Okay. In this new timeline, only Halloween 1978 is canon. So I don't think there's anything in this, in this new timeline here with the 1978 original leading us to believe that he can only go to Haddonfield. I mean, he went back there in 1978 because it was his stomping grounds. Again, Halloween 2 tells us it's because Laurie Strode is his sister. But remember, the whole sister dynamic was not revealed until Halloween 2. When they were making Halloween 1, Michael Myers was not her brother. She was not his sister. It was just some guy in a mask who took an infatuation. Why? We don't know. We can speculate, but we don't know. There was no motive. And what I mean by that is that there's no prior history. He didn't hunt them down because they owed him money and all that kind of stuff, right? We don't know. It's just he's a force of nature, a storm rolling in, and boom. Obviously, he took an infatuation in those, her and her friends. Sure. Why? We don't know. Did she remind him of Judith subconsciously, intuitively, instinctually? Maybe, who knows? We don't know. But there was no sister angle. So he just goes back there because it's where he's from. In Halloween 18, same kind of thing. But there's nothing in the narrative that would lead us to believe that he can't go to another town if he wants to, or if he instinctually just goes that way. I don't know. So do I think the movie is set? So if Myers, okay, let me try that again. So many thoughts in my head. Wow. Do I think the movie is set in Haddonfield? I think we will see it for sure, at the very least. I would find it strange if it is, or at the very least, I would find it strange that Laurie and Allison are living in Haddonfield. That would be strange to me, unless it's part of some weird part of her therapy. Like she's like, no, I'm not moving away. I'm not letting, this is my home. This is my town. Maybe they play it that way. And now whether you believe that's fully justified or not, well, you come to that conclusion on your own as an audience, as the audience, but at least it's justified. But realistically, you would think that they would move away. They don't have to move across the country. They could move, 100 miles down the road to Russellville or, somewhere else. I mean, they don't have to move far away. But like in Stranger Things, when it got to the end of season 3 and they moved away, the buyers moved, I remember thinking, well, yeah, like, come on. Like, you wouldn't stay in Hawkins. Like, give me a break, right? So I think there's got to be some sort of acknowledgement of that. And I don't think necessarily that, I think what brings Myers back isn't Laurie. I think what brings Myers back is Corey. And I think he goes to get his and then of course Corey is infatuated with Laurie, right? And so it's just happenstance again. It's a coincidence. I don't necessarily think Michael is going after Laurie. Like he's rejuvenated. He's got all his evil powers now. And now he's like, now where's that damn bitch? I mean, I don't think that's the case at all. I think he's like, now where's that fucking kid? And then the kid just so happens to be with Laurie. And then it's like, oh shit, here we go again. I think that's probably how they're going to do it and spin it, because you have to keep the integrity of, it was never about you, Laurie. So if Michael suddenly goes off to find Laurie, it's not that it couldn't work, but I'm like, I just don't see how that would make sense. But we shall see. We shall see. All right, hang on. Some more super chats came in here. I got to get them. A lot has come in today. Appreciate it, guys. Jose Reyes sends in $4.99. Says, "Hi, Dave. What are your thoughts on the new track, The Junkyard? So far, these two released tracks are pretty good. Feels almost Swan from Carpenter. I'd have to listen to them again. I listened to them, was it last week or the week before? I got to listen to them again. I'm not sure. But I remember listening to some of the tracks and really enjoy. Guys, if there's one thing that, again, well, there's a couple of things, but if there's one thing we can all agree on, the music in these three films, again, we haven't seen the third one yet, but the music has been great. Has been great. No issues. John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, Daniel Davies, have to give credit where credit is due, have knocked it out of the park. They've knocked it out of the park. That retro 80s synth, but it's got that modern flair. It's awesome shit. It's the kind of shit that you could put in a lot of horror movies. That's what I find so interesting about it. Now you could look at, you could say, well, maybe that's not what's so good about it because you want it to be immediately identifiable with, Halloween, but it is. But there's a lot of stuff there that's so good and transferable. I can't listen to the original Halloween soundtrack, or even the Halloween 2 soundtrack from 1981. A lot of the old shit. I can't listen to those tracks personally while I'm writing something to be inspired with what I'm writing. But the Halloween stuff, the current Halloween shit, is not as identifiable unless it's a cue that is really identifiable, like dun 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 dun, dun, right? Or dun dun dun, or dun 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 dun, ding 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 ding. I mean, yeah, those are immediately identifiable. But a lot of the other stuff that we're getting is so transferable and eerie and retro and ominous, and it's just, I can listen to that shit and write and get inspired to write. It's really cool stuff. But I got to go back and I got to listen again. Movie Chat and More Part 2 sends in £5. Says, Dave, please give us your best goblins and witches and omens of the future. Oh, goblins and witches and omens of the future. He says witches, not witches, witches, and future. I'm over exaggerating, but that's basically how he says it. Mason James sends in $2 and says, Gary Duberman do the script Derrickson direct. I'm not familiar with this Gary character. I've never heard of his name before. Obviously, again, Derrickson, he's got some successes behind him. And, he's proven to be solid in the horror genre for sure, no doubt. But that in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean that the movie would be great. But like I said earlier, I certainly wouldn't turn it down. Certainly not. El Banditos sends in $1, it's €1, basically €2. Knowing the actor who plays Michael annoying me. Do you mean that James Jude Courtney owes you money and he hasn't given you money yet? Or do you mean that it's annoying to you to know who the actor is that is playing Michael Myers? Because that's something too, right? We know what James Jude Courtney looks like. He's very accessible. He's very out there. This is something that a lot of people, back in the day, there was no internet. Back in the day, nobody knew who Nick Castle was. Nobody knew what he looked like. Same with Dick Warlock. Same with George P. Wilbur. Right up to Chris Duran. Even Brad Loree, really. It wasn't until Rob Zombie's Halloween, on full scale, because social media existed at that time and YouTube was around at that time. And it was really then that we really started to be able to identify who the actor was playing Michael Myers. Oh, it's Tyler Mane. It's this guy. Oh, that's what he looks like. Oh. But before that, you could get lost in the character. Now it's kind of hard, to not, because we know what he looks like. That's why I don't think you should be taking off his mask. I don't know how many times it seems like every movie his mask is taken off. Yes, they've done a pretty good job at, no pun intended, masking his identity by showing just kind of vague clips, or not clips, vague frames, moment here or there where you don't really see him. But because we know, now again, the average horror fan doesn't, right? The average moviegoer doesn't. So the average horror fan and the average moviegoer is not going to sit there and go, oh, James Jude Courtney. No, they have no fucking idea. They have no idea. But for the hardcore Halloween fans that do know, when Michael is following, I shouldn't put that in air quotes, it is him. When Michael is following Karen at the end of Halloween Kills, yes, he's in shadow, but we see the back of his head. We see his bald head. We see his hairline. We're like, that's totally James Jude Courtney, because we know what James Jude Courtney looks like, right? So all we see is James Jude Courtney. Do you know what I mean? So I can understand. If that's what you mean, I can totally understand how that would kind of be like, which is why if the actor is, accessible, going to the conventions, really well known, it might be best to just not demask him, But that's me. Okay, let me see here. Unimpressive Media sends in €2 and says, could Corey have a motive for picking his victims? Yeah, I think it's probably, again, what people have been speculating on, that he's bullied and that he probably goes around and he's probably targeting those who have bullied him, is what I think. Kind of like what, again, going back to the Christine analogy, kind of like what Arnie was doing in Christine. I think that's probably what we're going to see here. At the very least, I think that's probably his motive, and I don't think it's anything more than that. But we'll see. Tom Buckingham sends in £5. Thanks, Tom. And says, hey, Dave, my man, Tom says, I think it's obvious which shots are Corey, as he is nowhere near as broadly built like James Jude Courtney. He's quite slight in comparison. Agreed. Yeah. For the Halloween fan, we know that, right? We can pick up on those things. He's not as tall. He's not as broad. I think, I forget the actor's name now, but the actor that plays Corey is, I think he's like 5'9", 5'10", something like that. Where as James Jude Courtney's 6'3". That's a massive difference. So yeah, I agree. I agree. It's, but again, you know, we are in our own little bubble. We are in our own Halloween bubble that at the end of the day is, you know, we are constantly looking at this through the lens of the Halloween bubble. And we think that people that what we know, everybody picks up on. They don't. I guarantee you there are horror fans that like Halloween movies, right? That are not picking up on it. Are not picking up on it. It would be like, okay, like this. Like I'm a horror fan. I like Child's Play. I like Child's Play. I haven't seen all the movies, but I've seen the first one. I've seen the second one. I've seen the third one. I know that, you know, Charles Lee Ray, through voodoo, black magic, whatever, put his soul into the doll of Chucky so he could preserve it, so he could go, like all that shit. Yeah. But I guarantee you there are hardcore Chucky fans that if I saw a trailer, you know, they'd be like, and I'd be like, I didn't, what? Like you know what I mean? It right over my head, right? So we have to remember that our community, although passionate, although vibrant, although amazing, is very small in the big picture, And studios at the end of the day are not targeting in a vacuum the fans. I mean, they are with certain things, of course. It's not like they're forgetting about us. No, they know what to do and get the fans all hyped up. But at the end of the day, they also have to appeal to the general movie-going audience. They don't want to alienate them and make it too inside baseball. Because if they make it too inside baseball, what? I don't get it. You know what I mean? So it's a balancing act. But I'm right there with you, man. Totally. Okay, let's see here. El Banditos follows up with another €2 and says, I mean, we see part of his face too much for me. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Do you mean in this movie? We don't know. In Halloween Ends, we're not sure. But in Halloween Kills and in Halloween 18, for sure. Yeah, no, that was one of sort of my criticisms of 18 and of Kills. I would not have done that. I don't mind. It's like, and again, this is nitpicking because it doesn't ruin the movie at all. It's just a matter of a different creative choice. Like I could see myself following a similar path in 18, having Michael chained up out in the courtyard, and we see him from a distance as it's that aerial shot, either a drone or on a crane, where or could be a telescopic jib, but it didn't move. But anyway. Filmmaker Emmys going neck deep. The aerial shot of Dana and Aaron and Sartain walking into the courtyard right away from the camera, and you see the Michael in the distance. I don't mind that because he's in the distance. It's like, okay, well, you know, obviously he's not going to be in his jumpsuit and a mask. Okay, fine. But when we get close and we see James Jude Courtney kind of do that turn, yes. The motivation in the movie for the turn, for the character, is because he hears the people behind him and they're calling to him. So he does, you know, a slight turn. But for the audience, it's to show you that it is him because he's got that fucked up eye. I don't think it's necessary. I would not have showed that. I would have showed I would have been sort of more around his waist or his shoulder. Maybe you see kind of his shoulder and you maybe about to see his neck, but you don't see anything, which is kind of what they did eventually. But those are little things. It might seem really nitpicky and really like, holy fuck, I'm a nerd. Totally, it is. It absolutely is. But these are things I think about, right? When I'm watching and how they're handling the character. It doesn't ruin the movie. It's perfectly fine. It's just a matter of a difference of sort of what to show and what not to show. And that could have come down in the editing. Maybe I would have shot that. Maybe I would have shot it because maybe, the producer really wanted it or maybe I really or maybe I shot it just to have it. But in the editing room, in the editing suite, I could see myself going, let's not show that. Let's not show his turn. Let's just show them walk up and then everything else is sort of from like the shoulder back or whatever. I could see that. But no, I get it, dude. I get it. We Halloween fans can be pretty hardcore when it comes to that. Movie Chat and More Part 2 sends in $5 and says, I'd love to get an It's Me, Billy T for Christmas. T? Can you tell me what font that is, please, Dave? Also, best of luck with Part 2. Thank you. Oh, a t-shirt. Sorry, for some reason I thought you were talking about something else. The font is Christmas on Crack. The font is Christmas on Crack. But there'll be opportunities to get t-shirts, I'm sure, in the next Indiegogo campaign. So again, that's not till next year, but don't be afraid to look out for that. That will probably be coming. Well, it will be coming, I have no doubt. So you'll have an opportunity to get in on it. It might be the better way to do it because then you're supporting us. Scott McFarlane sends in £1.79 and retracts his comment. All right, well, maybe he'll follow up. Leah Major sends in $4.99 and says, I got the vibe there will be some there, not there. Oh, I get what you're saying. Some there, not there. Yeah. Also, I think there will be some good character building here. Fingers crossed. I hope so too, man. And I think there will be because, like I said, this strikes me as more of a character-driven story. Which just simply means it's about the characters, what they've gone through, the residual effects, the drama, the interplay of the relationships. That's really what it's about. And with a story that you're setting 4 years into the future, it makes sense that that's what it would be, right? It makes total sense. I mean, it's 4 years into the future. It would make less sense if we were picking up on the same night because it's the same night. They haven't had time to reflect and experience the years of the residual effects. Now they have. So where is Laurie? Where is Allison? Right? Where is Hawkins? Right? Where is Lindsay? Where are they to each other? Where are they to each other in terms of their recovery and the development? And that's important stuff. Really important stuff. So I've speculated on that for like a fucking year now. Well, almost a year. So I agree. I think that'd be cool. Skate Punk Fan 1991 sends in $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says a little off topic, but I would love to see an It series on Netflix that is way more character driven and dark than the other movies. I actually think It is ripe for that kind of thing. I understand why they did it theatrically, and obviously the first chapter became one of the biggest horror movies of all time in terms of box office. Yeah, I think it's probably too soon to retell that story in a series right now, but I think the It story is ripe for a series. I'm actually surprised. I mean, again, I know why they went theatrical, but it's just because of the amount of breathing room you have, and instead of telling... I don't know. I mean, the movies were 3 hours, but I think they were anyway, or close to it. Yeah, I'd be very open to that. I would be very open to that. Not necessarily that it would be, that it would be good, but I'd be open to it for sure. I think that'd be interesting. You definitely have the breathing room there for to really flesh out stories and really get your audience attached to the story and stuff. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I think I've got all the super chats. Did I get them all? I think I have. Yes, I did. Good. Just want to make sure I got them all. All right, let's pick up a few non-ones. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, what annoys me about this trailer is what you always say about reducing the suspense. We already know how, when, and why 2 characters will die. That's true. Yep. No, that is true. That is very true. Now, again, Halloween is not the only, film that does this, or the only series that does this. If you go back, look at Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th trailer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, geez, they showing everybody dying. But yes, it's a fine line because I understand why they have to show it. But again, this is for the general movie-going audience. These are the things, if this trailer was made just for fans only, well, we don't need that, right? We don't need that. But this is the stuff that the studios have to put out there to appeal to the fan that wants to see a scary movie in October. And they go, oh, let's go see Halloween. Oh, dude, you see that girl pinned to the fucking board? Oh, I mean, that's who it's for. It's not for us. It's not for us. And that's what I mean by that's why they have to do it. They have to do that. They can't be too inside baseball. Now, that doesn't mean they have to show everything, but certainly it doesn't surprise me that they showed what they did. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. But I'm in agreement with you there, right? Totally. Like, for example, again, I mean, I reference this because obviously it's my own film, and it's a short film, so you have to take that into account. But my film, It's Me, Billy, right? The trailers we put out, because we were in control of it, it was very inside baseball, right? We were not showing a lot, that kind of stuff. It's one of the compliments we got that actually when you watch the official trailer, which is like a minute and 50 something seconds or whatever it is, we don't really show a lot at all. But I guarantee you, if I had made that movie, it was a feature-length film, and it was being released by Universal, they'd be showing all the deaths, or they'd be showing, because they're like, they would turn to me like, hey, listen, we know that Black Christmas fans don't want to see this, but there's millions and millions of people that this is going to get asses into the theater. We got to show it. Totally, 100%. Totally. Like Justine's death in my film. You would have seen in the trailer, you would have seen Billy jumping onto Justine and raising the letter opener above his head. Totally. Did we show that? Nope. Nope, not at all. You had no idea going in who dies, how they die, or what's going on, right? Because we were in charge and we were the studio, so we were able to do that. But I guarantee you, if it was Universal or a major Hollywood studio that was releasing an It's Me, Billy trailer, you would have seen Billy, as I said, leap onto Justine, raise that letter opener above his head, seen his eye, and then maybe it would have cut. 100%. Totally. And then if you weren't a Black Christmas fan, you would have been like, oh, I got to go see that. That's just how it works. That's how it works. It sucks, but it's how it works. And, but I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with you. Yeah, no, totally. It would have been like, And I thought that when I saw it, but I was like, but I'm kind of like, well, I get it. I get it. Let me see here. Let me scroll down. What's this time? Oh, we're over 90 minutes here. We'll go a little bit longer. Love to see you guys chatting amongst yourselves as well. It's great to see. I'm just scrolling back to see if there's anybody I haven't got yet. Scott McFarland says, hi, Dave. Hope you're well. Would be great if they filmed in the same streets in Pasadena 78. Why does the cop who says that's Michael Myers in Halloween Kills sound robotic in the first flashback? I don't know. Maybe it was ADR'd. Maybe it's not really his voice and they were having trouble matching the lip flap. I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, look, it would be cool to shoot in Pasadena, but the reason why they shot in Pasadena in 1978 was not because it was the best location for it. It was because it was cheap. It was a $320,000 movie and they couldn't afford packing everything up and, shipping and moving everything across the country to the Midwest and filming there. They just could not afford that. So they went looking in and around the areas of where everybody lived to see, is there a neighborhood here we could shoot, and maybe with some movie magic and trick camera angles, we could maybe convince an audience that it's the Midwest. You know what? Hey, Pasadena kind of has that feel. Yeah, it kind of does. Okay, but you know what we're going to need? What are we going to need? We're going to need some fucking leaves. We got to paint those leaves, toss them all around, make them blow, get some fans out. You know what I mean? It was low budget. It was a low budget indie shoot. It was a low budget, nothing movie indie shoot. that, became more successful than it probably had a right to. And, but it was great. It was great. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. But if you have a choice, I don't think you would choose to shoot in Pasadena. I mean, because why would you? I mean, everything's green and there's palm trees in every corner. You have a $10-20 million budget. Great. We can move to a place where, now, I mean, realistically, you probably want to shoot in the fall in the Midwest, but Georgia gives great tax credits. I believe David Gordon Green and Danny McBride are from that area. So it's like going home again. There's a lot of financial and creative enticement to shoot there, which is why they did. Pasadena, I mean, unless you're shooting at night, like unless for whatever reason you want a shot of, maybe it's the summertime, so you can get a shot of Laurie standing in front of the Doyle house, so it doesn't matter that it's green, or maybe it's nighttime, and but really it's not needed. It's not needed. It's not needed. It was only shot there because it was low budget and they had to make do. They had to, we can't afford to go anywhere, so I guess we'll just have to figure out how to shoot here. That's why they did that. 100%. Because clearly it's not the best location for it, but it was the best location under the circumstances. Modern Scripts Production says, I really hope that they don't have good stock. I really hope that they don't have good stalking and suspense. And then it's alluded to being Myers. Corey shouldn't have the mannerism. I think what you mean is, you hope that they don't have good stalking and suspense. And then it's not alluded to being so it's alluded to being Corey. Agreed. I mean, we were talking about that, and I agree. Unless they're going to try and implement some quasi sort of explanation that when the evil is transferred into Corey, the evil essence is transferred into Corey, that he somehow gains the mannerisms as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Corey pulling a Michael. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying they're going to, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see that. I hope we don't, but it wouldn't surprise me. All right. Let's see here. Brandon H. says, I really wish Laurie and Sheriff Brackett could have shared a scene together in Kills. It would have been more moving when Michael killed him. Yeah, maybe. I do too. I do wish there would have been a scene between Brackett and Laurie. Having said that, if Brackett had gone out the same way, I still think it's a garbage. They handled all of them terribly. I felt nothing when they died. I felt nothing when Brackett died. I felt nothing when Marion died. I felt nothing when Tommy died. Literally nothing. And that is because they didn't focus. There should have been a real focus on those characters. Get rid of the mob mentality. Get rid of the hospitals. I mean, you can still have people at the hospital fearing for their lives and evil dies tonight. Sure, say it once, get it over with, that's fine. But this whole sort of side focus on this trauma, just don't do that, because you're eating up valuable time that you could be focusing on developing the characters of Tommy and Lindsay and Brackett. I mean, I would have had the whole movie focus on Tommy and Lindsay, not necessarily as a couple. They're not married. I'm not necessarily saying that, but they are brought into the fold again, because even though they were children in 1978, a lot of the people that lived in Haddonfield at that time either moved away, died. There's not too many people still left. I mean, there's a few people, but not a lot, right? There's a big turnover rate. And they're the only two that are left. And the town somehow looks to them for answers, looks to them to lead during this mayhem that is happening. And Tommy and Lindsay feel overwhelmed because they're like, guys, we were just kids. We were literally children. We don't know, like, we're in the same position as you. And that dynamic might have been interesting, how they struggle to come to terms with a leadership role under the circumstances. That would have been interesting. And then we could focus on Lindsay and Tommy, and you could develop them and their dynamic, and Laurie in the hospital and them talking to, like, all that kind of stuff. It was just lost. It felt like they were just shoehorned in for fan service, and it didn't You know, as much as I don't like H2O, I don't hate H2O, but I'm not a big fan. Marion was handled way better in H2O. And she wasn't even there that long, but she was way better. Way better. And when I say way better, I don't mean to imply that her character in H2O was rich and it was great. No, it was pretty surface level too. But in comparison, way better. It's just silly to me. Arthur Vega sends in $10 and says, "Hey Dave, I hope this movie is huge, fantastic. Just hoping for a good, fantastic. Just hoping for a good Halloween movie." I'm right there with you, Arthur. I am right there with you. I am hoping that this movie is huge as well, and all our worries and concerns drain away, move away as we continue to watch the movie. And 25, 30 minutes, 40 minutes into the movie, we're like, wow, this is really good. I'm really enjoying this. My fingers are crossed, man. My fingers are crossed. Frank Riker, my man, Frank the Tank, my great moderator and Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast co-host, sends in $5. Thank you, Frank, and says, "Dave, is it safe to say that there will never be a better protagonist to Michael than Loomis? Sartain was a missed opportunity that could have lasted." I could not agree more with that. I wish he would have lasted, not because, you know, we were looking for him to replace Loomis, but he's sort of our conduit. He's sort of our connection to Loomis. He worked under Loomis. There could have been a lot of things that we could have found out about that dynamic between Michael and Loomis through him. I agree. I think it was a missed opportunity and a wasted character and a wasted actor too, because he was terrific. I think so. I think you're correct. I think they could have built that with Laurie, but I think Laurie comes second. And I think it's because Loomis was there from the very beginning. So Loomis was introduced to Michael when he was 6 years old. He was introduced to him, you know, and the great thing about what I love about the Loomis character, and I've said this before, but I got to say it again, is Loomis is a man of science. He's a psychiatrist. He can prescribe medication. He went to medical school. Psychiatry, but you know what I'm saying? There's certain parts of medical school they have to go to. He's a man of science. And even Loomis was dumbfounded. A man of science saying things like, "I watched him for 15 years, sitting room, death has come to your little township," saying things like, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. What? I mean, in reality, I think Loomis was just trying to paint a picture. I don't necessarily believe that Loomis absolutely believes in the devil. I'm just simply saying that, and listen, you can be a scientist and be religious. I know that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, science is about evidence. It's about measuring and objective evidence. That's what it's about. And Loomis was in a position in the first film where he was actually throwing up his hands going, "I don't know. There's something else going on here." That's what Loomis was saying, is that I don't know what it is, right? Purely and simply evil. Well, what does that mean? How do we measure that? How do we quantify that? We can't, and we should never be able to. And Loomis, a man of science, going, "I don't know. It's evil." It's evil. That's not going to hold up in a court of law. So what's your motive? It's evil. That's why people plead insanity. You know, that's why defense lawyers will take cases where they can just kind of go, "I don't know. It's this." And it's like, well, okay, sure. It's a cop-out. I'm not saying that people who are mentally ill, that doesn't exist. Of course it exists. I'm just simply, and who are schizophrenic and crazy, and I heard the devil, of course. But we can also look to those things and measure it through scientific means and all that kind of stuff. But for Loomis to just go, "I don't know," it's crazy. So that dynamic between evil and the doctor, who's a scientist, not a scientist per se, but is a man of science, is a psychiatrist, to actually have a character that is running around behaving the way he is frightening. It's frightening. Because something happened. There was some sort of change. So I tend to agree with that. I don't think there will ever be a more, what's the, like a yin yang, a yin yang? Is that it? Is that right word? Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. I don't think there will ever be ever be another instance where you see that than what you see with Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers. 100%. 100%. And with him gone, you do lose a bit of that. You know, you do lose a bit of that, for sure. It's been able to go on, but it's never been quite the same. It's never been quite the same. Brannigan sends in $10. Thanks, buddy. Says, hey, Dave, longtime watcher, first-time caller. Amazing. Just wanted to say, love the content. Well, thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that. And thank you for sending that super chat in and supporting the channel. Much appreciated. And thank you for being a longtime watcher and a first-time caller. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. $2 Sam, not $3, not $5, sends in $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, do you think there would ever be a proper way to make a versus film with Michael and another popular slasher without it being cheesy? Sure. Yeah, for sure. I just don't like versus movies generally. I mean, I can watch them on their own merits, I guess, and just kind of turn my brain off. But I much prefer, I guess it's because I take these things seriously. And I think in order for, it's such a nerdy thing, but it's a fucking movie. But I think in order for there to be a versus, there's a certain whimsical kind of real suspension of disbelief that has to come, because now you have to merge two universes that were never meant to merge anyway. And I'm not saying it can't happen, and I'm not saying it could never happen and be taken seriously, of course. But generally speaking, I don't think that's what versus movies are about. Right? They're not about taking it seriously and trying to please people like me. They're about just shamming these two people together and just seeing what happens. You know what? Let's put a fucking bear in a cage with a gorilla and let's just see what happens. I mean, that's basically what this is. That's sort of the primal thing where it comes from. And I'm just like, no, it's too gimmicky to me. It's too gimmicky. But that's how I feel. That's how I feel. So do I think it's possible? Sure. But I think there's a reason why when we do see versus movies, there's a wink when you know what I mean? There's a little bit of a wink when you're watching them, because it's absurd to have sometimes two characters together anyway, unless they're characters that were, built to be in the same universe, like a Godzilla versus King Kong or something. I mean, that never sort of bothers me because it just makes sense. But Freddy and Jason, Michael Pinhead, nah. But that's me. Brandon Taylor follows up with $4.99. Excuse me. Did you send one in earlier? Maybe you didn't. I can't remember. It says, Dave, I agree about utilizing the OGs better. How do we get that? And David Gordon Green doesn't, especially Lindsay. Her scene was badass in Kills. Well, look, I don't believe that David Gordon Green doesn't get it. I think he does. But he has a vision, right? He has a vision, and these movies also have to appeal to a general movie-going audience. So that would be notes that would come down from the studio as well, whether that's the production company in Blumhouse, whether that's from Universal. Definitely. There may be some things that David Gordon Green has shot that is very inside baseball, but maybe it's too inside baseball. And the studio was like, listen, we get it. We know why you did that. But the vast majority of people are not going to know what the fuck is going on here. So pull it back. And he's like, okay, I got to pull it back because I got to make it more appealing to a general audience. That does happen. I'm not saying it's happened here, but I don't think there's concrete evidence to suggest that David Gordon Green doesn't get it. I think he does get it. I think he understands it because we've heard him say things where we go, yeah, exactly. Totally. He gets it. But is his full vision being realized is the question, because there might be some things that is not being realized for a variety of reasons, or he's his own man. He's his own visionary. He's his own director. There could just be a lot of creative decisions that are also made that are just not the creative decisions that I would make or that you would make. That's entirely possible too, But I don't necessarily think he doesn't get it. $2 Sam follows up with another $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, do you think we will hear Michael speak in this film since they seem to want to set that up in H-18 with the say something line? I don't necessarily think they're setting that up. I don't think that's I don't think that's foreshadowing. I mean, you could take it as that, but it doesn't communicate that to me. I think what it communicates is suspense in that moment, you know, with the rising sort of crescendo of the music, say something, and then cut to black, dun, 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 dun. I think it's just more or less effectively communicating to the audience again that Michael doesn't say anything. He's not going to say it. Oh, he could if he wanted to, but he doesn't. He doesn't speak. So that's it's just a really cool opening. And I think that's all that was for. I would be very surprised if he says something in this movie. I don't think he's going to, because I don't think there's something that the writers could write him. I don't think there's something that the writers could write to have him say that wouldn't piss off or alienate half the fan base. I just don't think there is. I don't know what that would be. So, I mean, some people may love it. Some people may not. The best thing is just don't have him say anything. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. So yeah. Gravestone Film sends in $4.99, says, hey Dave, I'm working on an 80s style slasher film. Do you have any tips or advice? This is my first time trying to create something for a while now. Well, just make it your own. Watch 80s slasher movies, you know, find out what made them popular, successful, the execution. If you want your film to be a real 80s throwback, then you have to understand an 80s slasher movie. And remember that, you know, yeah, and just make it your own. You know, make it your own. Understand what an 80s slasher movie is. Understand the tropes. Understand the, you know, the characters. Understand the archetypes. You know, and go to town and just make it your own. You know, be inspired by, but don't copy. Simon Mills sends in £5, says, I believe Michael will just rot away in the ends. I believe Michael will just rot away in ends. The way the mask changes over the films is a dead giveaway. The evil will just stop. Just a theory. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a little more dramatic than that, but you never know. You never know. It's very symbolic. James Rowan sends in £5 and says, saw a Reddit post saying Michael Myers is a boring killer. Wondered what you make of this. Love your content, man. You mean in this movie or just in general? Well, that's somebody's opinion. I mean, I could understand why they might perceive that, you know, especially when you're watching Halloween 1 from 1978, which is a very dated film, or Halloween 2, or any of the early Halloween films. I can understand that. I mean, Freddy is much more bombastic and entertaining. So is Jason. So is Chucky. So is Leatherface, Ghostface. Sure. Yeah, I can understand that. From what they're really mean, like, obviously this is somebody that is making a statement from the perspective of, you know, Michael is not as, and he's not as a killer, as far as killers go, he's not as exciting. That's true. And it could just be not this person's cup of tea. However, I take it one step further, and I always say that it's intentional. There's a reason behind that, right? And it's built into the mythology and the ambiguity of the character. He can't speak. It was built very early on. The foundation of the character is built on the lurking, the suspense, the slow burn, the mood, the atmosphere. So that's part of the DNA of what a Halloween film is, and part of the DNA of what his character is, right? The there, not there. Is he supernatural? Is he not supernatural? Is he part supernatural? Is he all human? We're never supposed to know. We can have that debate till the cows come home, but we're never supposed to know, and that's what makes it fun. So I would just say that it was probably posted by somebody that for them, they need their villain to be more like Freddy or Jason or whatever. And certainly Michael is not. That is true. Javid sends in £5 and says, oh, no. I just got that one. Javid follows up another one. Says, opinion on Michael Mann's Public Enemies movie. I know the movie you're talking about. I've not seen it. So I have no opinion. Jay Bird sends in $4.99, says, hey Dave, rumor has it there's supposed to be a Busta Rhymes cameo in Halloween Ends, and it's supposed to be the trick or treat motherfucker. Can you imagine, Jay Bird? Can you imagine trick or treat motherfucker? Or Laurie takes off the mask and it's Busta Rhymes. It's Busta Rhymes. That'd be wild. $2 Sam, I love that name. Sends in $4.99, says, Lori, you came here to kill me, so do it. Michael, I can't. I'm tied down. That's it, folks. That is it. That is it right there. That is it right there. That's it. That is the first thing that Michael says. I can't. I'm tied down. That would be really funny. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me here on this live stream talking about the final Halloween Ends trailer. The final Halloween Ends trailer. I want to thank my great moderators, Frank Riker, Darren Sands, Tabitha Short, Chris Baber, Andrew Stevens, and Cody Snyder. Thank you so much for doing what you guys do. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the super chat questions that came in today. I really appreciate that as well. Yeah, if you're watching after the fact, or even if you're watching now, comment below and let me know your thoughts on the Halloween Ends trailer. Let me know your thoughts. What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you think? How are you feeling? We are just over 2 weeks away to the release of the final Halloween movie as we know it. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. I want to know, how are you feeling? If you want to follow me on social media, you can. There are my links right there. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That's going to do it for me. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. And I will talk to you soon. Alrighty. Cheers.